Man, I love that song.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System. Vehicle selected. Stand by. Your vehicle has been delivered to the following...
Landing complete.
Aerospace. All systems online. Landing gear raised. Quantum drive is now up.
We've always been told to keep things clean, but in this world, clean doesn't cut it.
You want to
win, you gotta claim your turf.
Because the team who makes the biggest mess wins.
Time to claim your turn. So grab your gear and see if you can splat your way to an ink-filled victory. Splatoon 3, only on Nintendo Switch.
Event of an emergency. I don't remember the rest, but I have that part memorized.
The white zone is for loading and
Most likely Flex Alert.
Flex
No.
alert. Hello, hello.
No, the red zone is for unloading passengers.
I'm tired of this white zone. Such a good movie. Oh, well, now I have to watch Airplane. Never done. You want that stuff?
Sounds good. Seems like a plan.
Great. And Stars in Life. The narrative.
Shields locked.
Adam Weiser.
Hello.
Mary Hybert.
What up?
Will Weisbaum. Hello. And me.
Who are you?
I'm Jared.
Hi, Jared.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great having you here.
Yeah. So glad you can make it.
So this is live?
This is live.
Is there some kind of delay built in just in case we say something wrong?
No. As tradition states, we get 1 square word per hour. That's 1 square word shared amongst the 4 of us.
Oh,
So that's
What?
it. Yeah,
that is bull. No.
The loophole is if we all say it at the same time.
Ah, there we go.
All right, there we go. Save it for the end of the show. See what word we
yeah,
choose.
At the end, we'll do a 3 count. We'll all say the first profanity that comes.
Don't go anywhere, folks.
So yeah, if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, this is what it is. It's where we hang out at the end of our week and prattle on incessantly about random airplane quotes and consider just not doing the show. We're off the list. On
It
this
is the
week's
end of
show,
the week.
we have a fine collection of members of our narrative team. The narrative team is responsible for the story foundation. There's Will, which is your lead writer.
Right.
I don't know why I ever tried. I don't remember. Sherry is writer and archivist. Oh, I'm gonna mess this up now. And Adam is in charge of the sheet.
That's right. Best one around.
That was a nice fresh lavash bread. It's delicious.
Perfect.
Jared's show background.
I wish the comm window wouldn't take over my fucking targeting all the time.
Still haven't unpacked it. When we did our first show in the UK, like 139 days ago, the background is exactly the same as Florida. Still half the data that you need to watch for the rest of it.
But you did complete that game unpacking, so that's kind of weird.
That was a great game.
It really was a great game.
Well, that's a great game.
So, is this all we do on Star Citizen tonight?
Oh no, we should talk about Star Citizen.
Shields.
We should talk about Star Citizen. So, as is our habit to do, we put up a thread up in Spectrum, which is the bespoke communication platform available on robertspaceinitiatives.com, and let our Star Citizens submit their questions and vote up which ones they wanted to see answered most. We then ignored the voting and chose the ones that we wanted to talk about, as is also our habit. So we have selected those, and we will get started on those now. Additionally, if you're watching live in the chat, you can submit your question with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That'll help me pull it out from the rest of the chat. Remember that these are members of our narrative team. So if the question is about do we think what's the SCU space of the Hercules Starlifter? Also, will you nerf the Hercules Starlifter? It's really ruining Jumptown or any of that stuff like that. These aren't. Well, maybe
And
but
trying
not
to trick us and say what's the lore behind the ZU in the Hercules.
There's so many questions in that thread that's like, what's the lore reason the Hercules is so overpowered it jumps down? And it's just like we're all in a bad 1980s sitcom. It's never been sitcom before. All right, so
People in the chat also.
So, to start things off, these questions in no particular order. We jumbled them up. First one looks up to be about one of our favorite alien races, the Tavaran. It says, since the Tavaran have been assimilated by the humans for centuries, why is there no evidence of their existence in the Stanton system? Why?
Go for it.
Oh, no, you go.
This is just part of staggered development is really the answer. Well, we want to have Tavaran spread throughout the UE as appropriate, and they'll have bigger enclaves that we've talked about in the lore, and maybe we can dive into those a little bit second just for some fun background. But generally it'll come to pass, like how there was no refineries available for players to see until we added refineries, even though in lore, of course, they were refining stuff all the time. So that's our hope and goal. Down the road, we'll have a quarter where we get art and design, environment art, character art. It's a bunch of props, different disciplines that have to focus on creating these kind of elements in order to have the Tavaran in place. And so that's the answer. But there are Tavaran living in the Stanton system in lore.
And one of them is behind you right now.
Yeah, and with the system too, since it's owned by all these corporate entities, like there's no Tavaran architecture because those entities, these companies aren't building Tavaran buildings or shrines or anything related directly to that. If you go to Elysium or Branagh or other places like that where there's going to be more Tavaran enclaves, you might see more Tavaran architectural influence in that way too, not just in them being there, but also maybe their input on stores and different areas, locations like that too. So
yeah, once we have them developed and in the game, you'll definitely see them walking around as part of the regular NPC crowd of humans.
And as for the obvious follow-up question, when? It's
tomorrow.
When? No.
And that's a Sherry promise.
That's right.
Nope, I'm not going to say it. All right. So a follow-up question, also about aliens. We just group some alien ones. Let's talk about aliens for a while. Will NPC aliens ever be added to spaceports, etc.? It would be great to see that kind of diversity and unique behaviors. This seems like pretty similar to the answer, probably the same answer as the one we just gave, right?
Yeah, it's just the same answer. Like Will said, it depends on a lot of factors related to development and related to the teams working together to make the best aliens that we can make. But down the line, we really want not just a Tavaran to be walking around, but Xi'an and Banu, and Banu kiosks, like little stands where Banu are selling things, various Banu Xi'an signs. Ideally, we would also have Tavaran language signs, although that would be contentious itself within the Tavaran community. Because some of them would hate to see stuff in Tavaran language, and some of them would say, no, it's time for us to embrace the culture that we threw away. And there might be fights of it. Who knows?
Did you write that just to excuse not having the Tavaran signs? They don't like them.
No.
That's why we don't have them.
No, I mean, like, even with the contentious cultural revival going on, there would still be some Tavaran language signs around, I would say.
Yeah. And different locations that would embrace those signs too, or want to maybe convert some of the human standard stuff into their language as a way to kind of reclaim their history. Yeah, so it's a fun little balance for the aliens for them to have to kind of like see that played out through the environment.
I think it would be interesting to see Tavaran language signs vandalized by other Tavaran.
And go on.
No, we threw this away for a reason. Stop it.
Folks are aware of our budding studio up in Montreal with our partners at Turbulent. One of the teams that is currently being built out there right now is a branding team. specifically designed to help unify and explore and exploit all the opportunities for in-game branding. That includes things like graffiti and stuff like that. So I was just talking to them the other day, and they've got their work cut out for them. But when they get up and running and stuff, there's gonna be a lot more immersive decor to the environments that you see. A lot more branding that seems genuine and in place and proper for the location. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, they were just asking about some Banu language the other day, which I think I pointed them correctly to you, Sherry. Sherry's our in-house xenolinguistic expert who works with our external xenolinguistic expert.
Who is our true expert?
so there is, like, for you Eagle Eye players out there, there is Banu and Xi'an text already in the game that you can find around our different locations. Do you want to give an example, Sherry, that comes to mind?
I don't remember.
For the Luminalia holiday stuff, we often have
right,
Banu text
yes.
on that. Like, I think the last year's holiday themed items for Luminalia.
Yeah, there was a Luminalia greeting on that cool sweater. It was the fan design sweater last year, wasn't it? It was
It
really
was,
great.
yeah.
We loved that. And we loved how the fan made sure to include, accurate Banu text on it. That was a really nice touch.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. And then Savarin, just to clarify, we're still in the process of developing that with Britain. It was a lower priority language because it's not as in active use as Banu and Xi'an were going to be in the game, though it's still coming and we're going to have it.
Oh yeah, and we're having a lot of interesting discussions about how we're going to develop it. Britain favors a two-pronged approach where he develops the bones of what the language as it actually was before the purge, and then he develops a modern version of the language that's mixed with UE standard to create kind of like a newish language, like what happened with English when the French invaded.
Right. It's predictably extra for.
Yeah, it's very extra. We love
our citizens.
Yeah.
No. Britain takes it next level. I've seen some of the docs. He will send Sherry a doc 100 pages long with questions about a certain species to be like, give me an idea about this, and he's all in and he's very into the details. It's incredible. That's why he's our perfect match. Yep, absolutely.
Well, next time I talk to him,
French English thing, I learned that's why we call beef
really
instead of cow meat. Is because.
But Britton Watkins, if you're watching, how much of the original Canterbury Tales do you have memorized in Middle English?
Good question.
Wanda Tapri with the show sota.
I think you might have him beaten that.
Switch the kur, which vetun gender is the blue. I'll stop now.
Okay,
right,
it's beautiful.
It's been 12 minutes. We've done 2 questions. Ranprint from the live chat says, are the story team adding more data pads or computer terminals to sprinkle lore through the live verse?
It's something we've been in discussion with for kind of the new loot generation system and our ability to kind of include those items with set dressing and have a wide variety of them. It's something that we hope to have coming in greater frequency soon. And we want to improve the interactions with the data pads, like the recent Siege event. We had those fun data pads that you could find on the lieutenants, which hopefully some of you got to read because I enjoyed those. But yeah, we definitely highlighted some of the current shortcomings with interacting with them, with our inner thought system. So we're looking at improving that and, how the messages are delivered. Like right now, they're all going into the journal part of the Moby class. And so that's kind of an ongoing discussion too. So hopefully there'll be changes and improvements. But yes, we want more. And we also want to go through our backlog and start introducing all the old dispatches into the game as well at some point, so that all the stuff you've been able to read on the site, you'd actually be able to find sprinkled throughout the universe as well.
Cool. The Adventures of Kid Crimson, here we come. I remember. When are you going to bring Kid Crimson back?
I think that might be a secret. There's some, Well, not a complete secret, but yeah, no, he is beloved and not forgotten. Let's say.
That was my question. That wasn't it.
Get ready for the adventures of Man Crimson. He's all grown up.
So we talk about people trying to sitcom some questions in about Sadaball. How popular is Sadaball around the verse? Can it be likened to football throughout the world or EU? Who wants to talk about Sadaball?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Sadaball. Yeah, I think Sadaball is very popular. We've, I mean, I think it was an early kind of like lore builders where we went through and, broke down a bunch of different divisions and teams and spread them out all across the UEE. So it's empire wide. We've talked about there being, kind of big stadiums all over the place. So it's big enough to support, tens of thousands of spectators every day. We've brought the Banu into loving the sport too and being a big fan of it. So it's not only a sport beloved by humans, but also now by Banu. So yeah, I think it's very popular, and I know there's even like posters that might be sprinkled in, some of the set dressing all over the place. So, yeah, I think it being football or kind of like as popular. I know cricket too has billions and billions of fans all around the world. So it's I would say in the universe, it's definitely at that level.
Someone in the chat. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on. And that'll be part of the branding stuff that Nick and his team in Montreal will hopefully help us dive into of coming up. Like, because we have all the, like Adam said, the teams blocked out. So in the stand, hopefully you'll start seeing people eventually wearing the local teams jerseys and hats and stuff.
Yeah. So. Was from the live chat, was Darnell Ward framed?
No comment.
You have to investigate for yourself and draw your own conclusions.
I tried. Pagan Linux geek. I tried. Does the pyro crab have a name, Steve?
Yes. It's called the whip crab. I don't know what else I can say about that, but yeah, whip crab.
It's called the whip crab?
Yeah.
Is it?
Is
it WHIP? Whip?
Yes.
Not the work in progress crap.
No. That would be very funny of us, but we unfortunately did not make that joke. So
that's why that's why I was like, are they really going for that? So whip crab.
Yeah, right. Like whip as in the weapon that Indiana Jones favors.
Can't find the concept art really quickly, but has kind of these long tendrils coming off of it, which is why the people in Pyro who saw it were like, oh. That thing's got whips.
As a follow-up, what the hell is a Ranta? They leave a lot of poop in caves that don't have atmosphere.
It's just a little guy. It's like a little isopod-looking guy that scuttles around the caves and leaves funny-shaped poop.
And doesn't need to breathe.
Yeah, it can survive in a lot of different atmospheres. Yeah, so it's kind of a large isopod moving around and kind of sucking up different minerals and stuff, which is why its dung is valuable. The kind of different shaped dung is inspired by, if I'm remembering correctly, wombats, where a real life thing have fun shaped poop.
Have we ever showed what it looks like?
I don't think we have concept art for it yet.
Do we?
And if we did, I'm not sure it's approved.
Yeah. Drop it to me in chat. I'll know whether it's when I see it.
I think the only thing stuck on the page is random inspiration art I found.
Yeah.
I feel like there was an image in the monthly report.
That is a stone bug, if it's what I'm thinking of, which is
the stone bug in the monthly report. Yeah, that's the stone bug. So the monthly report that was like yesterday, the day before, I can't remember. That's the stone bug, and then the we've seen the pyro crab, and I don't know that we've ever shown the Ranta.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know that we've ever shown the Ranta.
It'll one day.
It might have been in an old monthly report. It's hard to remember.
It's really exciting to see our kind of fauna pipeline starting to kick in and coming in with like stuff like the Stonebook.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
So did you hold on? What is this? There it is. So if you want a Sherry, I think you should draw one in paint, and then we'll screen share at the end.
Okay. So we all know how wonderful my MS Paint drawings are.
Let's see. Let's go back to some alien stuff. Let's see. Do any humans, Banu, Xi'an, or Tavaran, just take your pick, still practice a religion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, jinx.
There we go. End of answer.
End of answer. We are done. We've put a lot of thought into developing the spirituality of the different alien civilizations. I mean, it's my thought that it's difficult to have a civilization without some kind of concept of spirituality or some kind of interest in like exploring mysteries, which I think is part of what religion is all about, just like exploring and understanding things that you don't understand. But the Xi'an have a really complex code of ethics / spiritual-ish religion called Litova that's dedicated to the understanding of time, which ties into the understanding of actions across time. Because they live so long, they have firsthand experience about how any tiny decision that you make can have a ripple effect that you haven't foreseen across years. So Litova partially developed out of that, which developed out of the civil war that they had when they accidentally destroyed their planet. Oops. I mean, it's still there. You can't live on it. It's not safe. So one cornerstone of Litova is actions across time, and the other is the exploration of time as a concept. They also, I think we did this in humans too, like the ability to meditate to the point where it feels like time is slowing down. But for them, it's like a more solid thing. Mm-hmm. So if they meditate enough, they experience time at a more different rate than us. So something that sounds like it's really fast to us, to them, when they're in that state, would sound like it's happening very slowly. Hence why Xi'an opera takes so long.
We also had, and that maybe talk about the Xi'an endurance racing, where it also kind of tied into this meditative state.
Yeah, no, it's, I think, Sherry, you're the expert on the Kali Kola or something like the pronunciation for it. But yeah, the idea being that it was an endurance, kind of like extreme Le Mans type race where they're traveling great distances for long periods of time, and the best racers are able to enter the state Sherry was just talking about as a way to slow down their body functions either and be able to travel, longer without taking breaks and stuff like that. So I know it should be up on the RSI site. There's a portfolio specifically on that race that talks about it and kind of the origins of it, which again ties into all that. So among the Xi'an, being a racer who can do this, can find that state is makes you revered within the culture, and so it ties in with that also.
It'd be the Kwaekoya.
There we go.
I'm not going to even try to say that.
That's why I defer to her so many times, because she's. Yep.
All right, it's not in Middle English.
Yeah, sorry.
So one of the things then the people may or may not know about the narrative team, depending on how often they frequent the website, is the narrative team has the longest running content series in all of Star Citizen. It's not ISC back to ATV back to Wingman's Hangar. The longest running continuous stream of content for all of Star Citizen is their weekly lore posts that go out every Tuesday. And this question, so you should check those out. That's basically my way of plugging them.
10 years.
You should check them out. Yeah, approaching. 10 years.
What?
10 years of a post every single Tuesday.
We do get 1 year off, 1 week off for the holidays.
Yeah, we do. We gave ourselves that.
That's it's not that you get the year off. You've chosen to take the year off. You can take more weeks off. You guys have just chosen not to because, like Britain, we are all just a little bit extra. So this question says, in a recent lore post, there's an implication that violent resistance towards Hurston's corporate government is generally frowned upon. Isn't violent resistance towards always? No. Was that an opinion by a particular narrator, or are open acts of rebellion against Hurstonamics more or less unheard of and unpopular? Is there not a workers' party base launching raids on Kleischer to free political prisoners?
For our dispatches, we always try to write them in the voice and the opinion of the show that it's presenting. So in that case, it was A Plain Truth, and Parker Terrell, the host of that, was sharing his opinions. And so Parker Terrell's a really fun character in that way because it lets us explore more kind of fringe news stories that may be more conspiracy based or less like grounded. Like he's okay on reporting stuff that doesn't have 100% of the facts in. And so that's not saying whether it was 100% true or not. You know, that's open for interpretation, what you find in game. But Parker kind of presents these stories. And so that's true of all our dispatches, is that they're always meant to be, this is what that show is saying, rather than this is 100% canon truth.
Right. No, that's actually it's one of the things to always remember. Actually, when you see it, that goes from material on like a ship post down to the lore post, down to the stuff you read in the game. One of the things, if I'm allowed to compliment the narrative team here, they always write from a POV. And so when you read a piece of lore or fiction or history from the Star Citizen universe, you should always consider the POV of the person you're learning it from, and how we all tend to skewer our perspectives on what's happened.
Yeah, and I would just say in regards to that too is that, you know, Hurston is a company that owns a giant planet that makes a bunch of weapons that blow stuff up. So they them being able to set their own policies there and their own worker things, I think they've done a lot of work to clamp down on resistance, or through Hurston security be able to action against those who might have kind of any kind of, you know, intentions against them. So going up against Hurston, if you are a part of the Workers' Party or trying to free prisoners, isn't and shouldn't be an easy task, because they're a megacorp that makes things meant to kill people. So yeah, not just I'm sure there are people around the verse that hate them and want to go in there and change their ways, but wanting to do that and being able to do that are going to be two completely different things.
And I think the general UEE has kind of complicated feelings about this. Like there's some people who would really support the UWH and what they're trying to achieve. There's other people like, well, I support what they stand for, but violence is never the answer. You know, there's other people who are just like, these guys are thugs. So we want that breadth of opinions to exist in the universe, just like in real life. I'm sure there's people who've been like, well, Hurston should treat their workers nicer while still buying all the Hurston weapons they can. Like that duality is kind of a very realistic thing that happens, and we enjoy that. So,
speaking of all the lore has a POV, the Galactopedia. Does the Galactopedia have a POV?
We try to keep the Galactopedia as neutral as we possibly can. So, for example, if I'm writing about a ship, I try to take things out like, it features such amazing add-ons as...
Punches above its weight class.
Punches above its weight class is sick. I try to just like list things and stay away from too much modifying language. So that's like... But I mean, I'm sure that every so often the person who's writing, the in-lore person who is responsible, the in-lore people, I should say, because it's not a single person who's writing it, might let their opinion slip in here and there. It's very difficult to write a true neutral article, but we do the best we can to keep it as neutral as possible.
Do you want to explain who the people writing it are, in case some folks out there don't know?
Oh, sure. The people in Universe who are writing it all work for the ARC, which is this enormous library, archive, museum that was made by humans after made in partnership with Banuchi, right?
I mean, they were all the races were invited.
That's right,
to
everybody.
contribute.
But it was made by humans after the Messer era, basically as like a hey, so like we're cool with everybody now. Let's make this space that celebrates everybody and not just humans. So it has material contributed by Banu, Xi'an, Teverin, maybe Vandal, who knows? Probably not. We would probably if there's Vandal materials in the Ark, they didn't give it to the Ark.
It was just like a box with a bunch of hands inside of it.
With this epic tale of how the hands came to be possessed by the warrior.
While we're talking about the Galactopedia, follow-up question: will we be able to access the Galactopedia from inside the game?
That's the plan. We would like that to happen down the line. We are working on it.
Okay. I was actually just talking to the localization team earlier today about having to someday localize the Galactopedia for multiple languages, and they knew exactly how many words were in it. Like they didn't even have to look it up. They knew how many words were in that database. I was like, oh, okay, you're thinking about this stuff already.
Yeah.
We're actually going to get to meet the localization team on ISC in a couple of weeks, which is why I was having that conversation.
And you'll ask them why they're not translating stuff into Middle English.
Yeah. That's what they should be doing. That's what the people want.
Die schönste Jungfrau sitzt dort oben im Norden. That's German. Can we get more pictures or video with the Galactopedia entries?
Again, that's something that we would like to do down the line, and that we need to find a way to get that prioritized. Right now, we're more concerned about making the best game that we can for you. So at the moment, the Galactopedia is an information vehicle that helps like deepen the universe. But if we can net the good people at Turbulent for our Galactopedia development, that is something. I have a lot of plans for the Galactopedia. I'd like pictures and video. The timeline is one goal that I have. I think the timeline would be a huge helpful tool, not just for the fans, but for us. It is nice to have it easily accessible. I have like a whole document of things I want to do with the Galactopedia, but our priority is to make Star Citizen.
Yeah, Sherry has been spearheading, making amazing progress, and all those kind of new posts and stuff that are getting in, expanding it all the time. So it's really just comes down to high level priorities and putting in requests from other people's times and blocking out that time. So the base functionality is there, and so that's where we're starting. And then fingers crossed, we'll keep making it better and better.
I almost convinced Sherry to write a Raftron article for the Galactopedia once. That came close. Last Galactopedia question here from Mad Titan in the chat. Will player discoveries ever add to or change the Galactopedia?
Oh, for sure. We've added some player content already, like the Daymar Rally. It's such an important event every year for the fans that it seemed natural to include it in the Galactopedia. For a while, when Sketo Rock was a thing, was a procedurally generated landscape discovered by one of the fans, Sketo, in fact. People used to go and take photographs on it with their ship because it was just like the perfect vantage point. So we included that in the Galactopedia because it was really getting popular and seemed to be important. It was sadly erased in an update, the procedural landscape generator, but we do have it. We still have it in the Galactopedia as a memorial to, something that used to be important fan content. So yes, it's not just current plans, but future plans. We keep our eyes peeled for things that seem to be important to people, and we try to include it whenever we can.
Let's jump back into some alien stuff. We got a lot of stuff on the aliens. Where were all these alien questions during the Alien Week show? Will we be seeing more Xi'an houses becoming ship manufacturers? Or are Gatak and Apoa the only ones?
As needed, we'll make more. Generally, the thing about the Xi'an is that they have imperial granted monopolies on certain type of things. Like House Gatak has a monopoly to make fighters for the military, possibly even more ships for the military. So it depends on if we want to break up what Gatak has the monopoly on, or what Alpla has a monopoly on. You know,
we have a lot of room within the fiction itself to kind of expand as the ship team's needs arise.
Mhm.
You know, so far, you know, the ships that have been coming in have fit in with the design style of Alpo and Gatek, and so that's what we've been leaning on.
Oh yeah, and also I got it backwards. It's Alpoa who has the contract with the military for fighters, and it's Gatak who does cargo ships.
I wasn't confident enough to question.
Yeah,
I was like, I wasn't confident enough to question. The Con Show in the chat says, can anything about the new star system be shared at this moment? Assuming you're referring to the Pyro system, absolutely check out last year's CitizenCon live stream was almost entirely dedicated to Pyro. And then as we announced just a few short hours ago, or maybe just an hour ago or whatever, the schedule for this year's CitizenCon event has some more Pyro-related content. Not as much as last year, because we didn't want to repeat ourselves. But it'll still have some new Pyro stuff there. So you can.
One of the Pyro things I'm really excited about is that we're getting a couple new food items that are more kind of unique to Star Citizen itself. And one of the pictures that we included in the monthly, I guess the real lesson today is go check out that monthly report, but of these nutrient cubes that are like these densely packed,
just
kind of have a very
gelatinous cube with like mustard on it.
Yeah, they got that kind of almost crunchy jelly kind of texture when you bite into them, and they serve them with sauces to make it more interesting. It's one of the cheapest foods you can get and still get a good meal. It's great.
Yeah, we'll have a feature on all of the new foods and interactables and stuff of the Pyro system in February. In case you're it's in February. In case you're curious about how far ISCs and everything are planned out generally.
February of next year.
February of next year.
It's quite confidential.
Heck, while we're talking Pyro, looking at Pyro and potential piracy, are there plans of having both Ninetales and Xenothreat factions present, or just one?
The main one there is going to be Xenothreat. They're based out of Pyro. They're the current runners of Ruin Station, the main space station that the Hellas like to fight over and operate out of. Ninetales currently is Stanton-based. That's their main headquarters. They're operating out of Grimhex. So that's kind of the distinction. There might eventually be some crossover, but like at the start, we really wanted Pyro to kind of give you a unique feeling when you're going in. It's kind of only our second system. So I think to start, hopefully you're running into kind of unique outlaw groups when you're there versus what you've already been encountering in the Stanton system. And then, you know, as the game progresses and stuff, we might have more bleeding over where outlaw groups are doing more runs like the Xenothreat has been doing into the various systems and more cross-system missions and crimes and stuff.
That's not to say that Xenothreat is the only gang in Pyro. We did an SCL, which is this show, last year, I think, dedicated entirely to the gangs of Pyro, where Will and Dave were on. We discussed several of the gangs, not all of them, and even created a new one live during the stream. So
I think it was the Fire Rats.
The Fire Rats.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of gangs that have been for Pyro that have been established internally that we're working on. So yeah, Ninetales used to be, in their lore, used to operate in a bunch of different systems, and they have recently consolidated and just been based in Grimhex and doing their operations out of there. Why they're doing that, no one's quite sure. But yeah, so that's where they're centered from, and Pyro is Xenothreat main territory right now, and then all these other gangs that we've been kind of starting to think about and flesh out. So yeah, it'll be diversity of gangs to meet while there.
And where was it? Some Bobby Wan in chat says, I think the Overlords are a Pyro gang, and well, the Overlords are vigilantes. vigilant. It's.
But yeah, overlords too. Yeah, they're part of the mix of whatever is happening there. No one's quite sure exactly what their intentions are, but yeah.
The overlords are special to me because I got to contribute like this much to it. Like this.
And then we got Citizens for Pyro in the mix, which is a fun development that was written about in a recent, very nice Observist. So read about them there. Help the cause.
Sherry, I should tell you that when you do the text in the Zoom, it shows up on the stream.
Oh.
So everybody knows your Ranta drawing is done. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. And,
all right, hold on.
Just start a screen share.
Okay. 1 second.
Be careful. There's nothing else on your screen.
I hope it's wildly inappropriate, Sherry.
It's super inappropriate. You're gonna be disgusted.
Send messages through Teams from now on. Oh,
there you go.
Lord. Okay, here we go.
There you go. That's canon, folks.
And where does the dung come from?
The butt,
Mouth.
right here. There you
Perfect.
go.
Thank you.
That's poop.
Poop comes from the butt.
It comes from the butt. Hold on, let me just. There we go.
Everybody poops.
Everyone poops, especially the Ranta.
Sherry, I'm sorry you're leaving the narrative team to go join the concept art team, but there's no stopping you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural fit. As you can see, I'm an art genius. I've just been wasting my time here. So see ya, suckers.
All right, you can stop the screen share.
Okay.
Speaking of things like the Ranta, will we ever see space rats or space vermin at landing zones? Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We have them planned. It's just getting them through the development cycle. And then there's also a fun write-up if we get them for space barnacles. Like we want these little critters that stick on your hull and will slowly kind of, wear it away. And so you might have to go EVA out with your little multi-tool and get those suckers off before they become a problem was one idea. Not promise it'll happen, but I was excited about it. So maybe those will come and ruin a ship near you someday. So
we all know the next system being added to the Star Citizen universe in the upcoming Alpha 4.0 is the Pyro system. But this question's about Nyx, which we had as a sort of homeless person sleeping on Stan's couch for a while there. We all know about Levski, but are there other surface settlements in the Nyx system, either on Delamar or the other planets of Nyx?
Yeah, there should be. In our recent lore makers, we do every quarter. So for a year, we go through our Ask a Dev and we answer a bunch of questions. And one of the ones from the recent one was about Nyx and about basically settlements outside of Delamar and Levski. And obviously there's going to be other places that we're going to want you to go in system. And one of the groups we talked about there was a group called the Moraine, which will have kind of homesteads and little outposts, maybe in different parts of the system that you'd be able to go visit, do missions at and stuff like that. And as we dig further into that, I'm sure as teams put together cool outposts, we'll lore them up a little bit more and add our spin to them once we see what they look like. But yeah, there should absolutely be places outside of Levski that you'll be able to visit.
And that's like we talked about at the top of this Star Citizen Live episode, kind of that layering thing. And what we learned from developing Stanton is about what is the level of content that is appropriate. So like finding out we need these locations for players to visit and do things at. And so even though in the lore write-ups right now, we've only called out 1 or 2 locations, that was basically just that first light coating, the undercoat of narrative. And as the great eye of development turns toward the system, we start painting more and more layers on it, really diving in with all the design and environment art teams to hone in on exactly all the structures and settlements and stuff for the players to interact and do with. So just like we've been doing with Pyro for the past however many months it's been, we're going to turn and eventually do that again with Nyx, and we'll know more about, there's these, space stations that are around the system because we need places for players to be able to refuel or get more oxygen out and stuff like that. So all that will be coming as development goes.
Wildly Coyote is suggesting that to join Pico and Finley, there should be a whip crab with a red stepped pyramid structure on its head, and it can be Devo the whip crab.
Yes, please.
All
Concept.
for as many Devo references, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. I'm joining the concept team. I'll definitely make that happen.
You'll be our plant in there, yeah.
We've talked a bit about aliens today. Architect TV says in live chat says, "What is currently holding back any unveiling of other species in the games?" Let's make the ones we got first. Just, I mean, maybe they've got another answer, but I think let's make the ones we've already revealed first before we just go adding more.
Yep.
No, that's definitely the answer.
I know we had also gotten in the submission questions one about like, are we going to get more like all our alien races are a little humanoid and that these stand upright, they have arms and legs and a face, and are we going to get weirder aliens? And the answer is kind of that same thing as what we're going to focus on the ones that we have talked about that we're developing. And for now, I think the people who are looking to scratch their weird alien itch, it's going to be less about the alien races that fly spaceships and stuff, and our kind of unique fauna is where a lot of that's going to be happening as far as like weird creature interactions.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you're looking to scratch that weird alien itch, just go to Twitter and send a DM to @jlee_art. He's really into that. Just send them all the weirdest, just anything, but especially aliens. Just he really appreciates it. He loves to engage in really long, protracted conversations. If he doesn't respond within like 4 or 5 minutes every time, just keep hitting him. Again, he really appreciates it when you stay on him for that kind of stuff.
I'm sorry, Jeremiah.
It's one of these questions. I love one of these questions. Since we can replicate humans with quote unquote, this is their term, replication mangu.
That's the scientific term for it, yes.
Well, person goo, but yes.
Does that mean that meats and other things can be synthesized in the same way, like a horrific Star Trek replicator with one too many steps?
Cellular meat reproduction, I think, has actually been happening before the current regen tech. The idea of being able to kind of grow meat in a lab is a lot of what the inner systems use for their protein sources would be synthetic meats, where like in that, like growing actual livestock would be more prohibitive, and like actual cow would be a little bit more of a luxury, versus on the frontier where it's a little bit the opposite, where they don't have the manufacturing plants, so maybe they're actually putting effort into raising livestock for food. But yeah, there's a lot of synthetic meats out there, whether they're using the expensive regeneration, whether someone's trying to regen a chicken leg, I don't know. But yeah, synthetic meats are definitely part of the lore.
There's been
I guess you could argue, are they really synthetic if they're cellular and identical to actual meat? Maybe they're just meat.
Hey,
we'll talk about that offline. Narrative team.
There've been a couple comments in the chat and in the thread about the old Lore Makers Guide to the Galaxy series we used to do for folks who've joined in the last couple of years. We used to do a bi-weekly series where we'd sit down with one of the members of the lore team, and they'd explore the lore and science and history of one of the many potential star systems for Star Citizen. This question on that is simply, what planetary system now or in the future are you most excited to dive into?
Goss.
Oh, my answer is also Goss. Oh no.
Snipes.
Go, you two. Go.
Goss fight.
World.
Trade things that you like about it.
I like that it has a really beautiful sky. I like that it has a binary star, so 2 suns. I think that it's the place I would most like to live if I lived in the Star Citizen universe, because of the climate and the prettiness, and yes, the waterfalls.
Yeah, and that whole landing zone on at the base of it, like a Niagara Falls style waterfall. I know what you're saying. Folks who have been following the project for a while might remember when every single event post that we ever made on the website, come to Gamescom, come to CitizenCon, come to PAX South, all had the same picture of Goss, because it was the only picture we had that kind of looked like a fun place you'd want to go.
I mean, that's really it for me. Like, knowing that it's supposed to be this like place of stunning beauty, and seeing already what our environment art teams have done with like places like Microtech, and just telling them like that this is supposed to be like mouth-droppingly beautiful. I just want to see what they do for it. I'm kind of excited for it, and also that just that really different kind of vibe from our kind of current locations in the upcoming Pyro. It's just on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is kind of appealing to me. And trying to think of the mission content that is supposed to be in like a happier, safer place, and how do we balance that with shooting people and like the kind of those fun challenges. So yeah, it's a little boring. We did the same one, Sherry. Sorry.
How about you?
On my side, I'll go for something that's a little more kind of story reasons, but I can't wait for the Nexus system, which I think is really, really cool, because it has 4 jumps that kind of connect a bunch of kind of uninhabited, not kind of outlaw systems and the UE has basically gone in to try to reclaim the system from the outlaws that have basically been controlling it for a long time. And they've been semi-successful. Like, they have one planet on lockdown where they have a bunch of their own like military bases, and another one is still a free-for-all where the UE is starting to construct fortified cities, or has fortified cities that people live in. But the second you leave, though, and you go into the countryside, it's a free for all. There, I spent a little time thinking about it. There was a serialized fiction story I wrote called Sid and Cyrus that took place in Nexus. So I think it's a really interesting and cool system, just because it's a UEE system that's going to have this high outlaw presence that is just going to be crazy. So I like the balance of that, and I like the idea of there being a planet where it's the UE has these certain sectors, but there's other sectors where it's a free for all, and go there at your own risk. So and again, just because it's connected to so many other interesting kind of like systems that use it as the name came from, a nexus to get from here to there. So.
Mine has always been. I mean, for the longest time it was Crusader, with the whole Lando and the Cloud City thing. But really, in my heart of hearts, it's always been Spider. It's. I mean, you guys just kind of just dropped the gauntlet with the entire idea of Spider, and went and like, ha ha! Somebody's got to make this now. And I every once in a while I tease Ian Leyland and stuff. I'm like, sometimes you gotta make Spider, and you gotta make fucking. There's my one.
Oh no, we were supposed to do it together, Jared.
Sorry. Synth World.
Cathcart.
No, but Spider / Cathcart is the one, and then the other one is Synth World. Like
Synth World.
Just the challenge of making Synth World is I'm very much looking forward to when it comes time to tackle.
Just really lean into the repeating texture on for Synth World. It's just gonna be a nice cube.
I apologize for my language, everybody. That wasn't intentional. That did just.
On behalf of the narrative team, forgive you, Jared. So
I don't.
If you're offended or put out by it, please send your letters to Jeremiah Lee, County of Cloud Imperium Games, Los Angeles, 12322 Exposition Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 92322. We're talking about jump points. Adam, you brought up the Nexus. If jump points connect various systems in a large web, How is it possible for anyone to invade anyone? What stops the UEE from creating an impenetrable choke point at the jump point exit of a valuable system?
So we talked about this at a CitizenCon, forget exactly the year, but internally we kind of call it the Swiss cheese method. But the idea is that there's these main, very stable jump points are usually initially what's found to connect systems, and those are what get the infrastructure. But its space is not only inner space is not only connected at that one point, it's soft all over that area over a long distance. And so there are other more unstable jump connections that can be found. So of different sizes and various qualities. So that it's kind of something that players will be able to do, and it's something that potentially NPCs will be able to do, is find new paths between systems that are not at that main stable jump point, that highway, like there's back roads basically. And then the other thing is that the exit point we've talked about a little bit is, I'm not sure, I'm going to stop there.
Fair enough.
But that gives us kind of the leeway to explain how there isn't just large cannons aimed at a point and the bandits show up and get blown up instantly.
Yeah. It's not like those portals in Pacific Rim. That I watched that movie, and Gypsy Danger has a giant sword that can just cut through everything, and I'm like, why don't you just put like a sword cross above the permanently over the pit that all these monsters are coming out, and every time they come out, they just kill themselves on the sword. Why are you building giant robots? Just build 2 of those swords in a crisscross and let them.
Jared. It's because giant robots own.
I know giant robots own, and I wish I liked that movie more than I did.
I love that movie.
No, believe me, the fault is in myself.
Okay.
I am disappointed in myself that I did not connect with that movie the way that I hoped, because it has all the parts. It should.
It's got Pacifics. It's got rims.
Mm-hmm. It's got a kicking soundtrack.
All right. So we got time for 2 more questions. Since Jared doesn't like Transformers, Rodimus Prime forever. What are you talking about? Sorry. Since the retconning of Pyro, I don't know what retconning they're referring to. What lore is also subject to being retconned? Oh, they probably mean like some planets not being just charred husks and stuff like that.
Yeah, a little bit of a retcon, but more of a development. And I guess that's the real thing about this game being in active development, is that just like ships get improvements, just like planets get improvement and change, the lore is a little bit flexible to keep up with it. We think long and hard before we change stuff, but we do have to keep changing and adjusting to maintain a cohesive universe. And it was, with Pyro, we had it a lot more inhabitable from the early days of when we were first developing systems. That was also before we knew exactly where Planet Tech was going to be. This dates back to the way beginning of the project. So at that time, we wanted more planets that you couldn't go visit. And now it's kind of changed, where we want more places for you to visit on these worlds. And so we've adjusted stuff with design and environment art.
There's also a phenomenon I wanted to talk. I often want to talk about. There's a misconception that happens in all game development. It happens with every company in the world, that the company is an unchanging monolith. It's that the same people that are here today in 2022 are the same people that were here in 2018, same people that were here in 2014 and 2012. We are constantly evolving and bringing new people, and those new people come with new talents and new abilities and new ideas and things that they want to do. And it's one of the reasons, I always say it's game development, it's not game construction. You don't just plan the game out at the very beginning and then only just make the thing that you planned out at the very beginning. There's no more thought. There's no more creativity. There's no more better idea.